Welcome back to another episode review of Black Lightning. Tonight we're going to be reviewing episode 5. Alright, let's get into it. Jefferson, Black Lightning, is on top of a building in downtown Atlanta. Alright, this man is flying around. And what does he see when he flies around?
First of all, I think this scene is beautiful because it shines so many lights on the keynotes of what's been happening in the current media. What he sees is two officers over exerting their authority when it comes to taking down a suspect, and then how they immediately reach for their weapon when they figure that there's some form of danger. And that's one thing. And Black Lightning shows up, saves them, and puts the kid down, who's clearly on drugs. Right. And then and it speaks volumes to the fact that it was like, okay, you're ready to execute this kid because he's on drugs.
He's overpowering you.
Exactly. He's like, why didn't? And one good question is something that we asked even the cops today. Why didn't you reach for your taser? If you guys notice, he was showing the police how to do their job.
Yeah.
Because he was like, these are the methods that you do. If you can't talk them down, if you can't physically restrain them, then you go to tasing. And pretty much he was showing them how to do their job in their face.
So moving forward a little bit, Tobias is getting a little antsy. Alright, he's getting a little reckless. He shows up in the place that we last expect. He shows up at Gabby's shop. And we're like, okay, something is about to go down.
So Gabby and Tobias had a little stare down. Pretty much had a showdown. And Tobias was ready to throw hands. And Gabby was like, oh no, I don't play that. And you know, like I gotta give it to him. He stood his ground, you know, and you know, I don't want to skip over this, so I'm just going to get into it. There was a lot of info dumped in that entire scene. We learned a lot about what was going on and whatnot. It pretty much confirmed that there is a connection between Gabby and Tobias well, beyond just he's Black Lightning's enemy and Gabby helps Black Lightning. Mm-hmm. He dropped a name, which was the ASA, I believe. Yeah. And so now we need to know what that is and how Gabby is connected to that.
First of all, we know that Gabby went to the school of T.I. because he said, I don't know what you do for your respect, but I will die for mine. But one thing that stuck out throughout this entire episode was just hypocrisy in itself. And one thing that I did love about that scene where Gabby and him talked was like, you just add more layers to the characters. It's like, this goes much deeper than we can even contemplate. That the two sides of the same coins are just shaking each other's hand right now.
In last week's episode, I didn't like the direction that they were taking Tobias because he was basically he was turned into a cartoon. And this week, I felt like we didn't get any of that at all. We got a more, like, it was basically detailed that Tobias's actions are due to his reckless behavior, and there's a psychology to that.
Right.
And in other words, like, they cleaned it up for me, in other words, and that's what I liked about that scene. Like, they, you know, he saw that he was making mistakes, which is why he didn't kill Gabby right then, but he'll probably kill him a little bit later. He even had more forethought because he knew he was going to get to that point. So what did he do? He called his sister to come out to Freeland to help him. That wasn't just, we gonna team up and kill Black Lightning. That was, I know me, and when I'm not getting the results I want, I'm gonna start acting up. I need the only person who can talk me down around me.
She even called him out on this. Like, you're getting reckless. We need to figure out what's going on with you, and we need to deal with your issues.
And one quick thing, we see how insignificant the 100 is. From the get-go, we thought the 100 was like the main objective. But from Tobias' own mouth, this is low-level chump shit. Like, that's a really low-level street shit. And Tobias is like, I'm better than this.
So moving forward, Ant Farm, typical teenager, wants to go to Golden Glide. Alright, she wants to go to the skating rink. Skate Town. But she gets into it because there's some girls who just, you know, can't stand her. So we thinking, oh man, it's about to go down. Aunt Farr's about to get the business. I can't watch this. She's about to get handled on a skate on the floor.
I'm like, I was like, someone calling this.
Like, where's her homegirl? Her homegirl just left her. Like, what is happening here?
See,
and then what happened?
First of all, I wasn't worried at all. Because if your dad is Black Lightning, he gonna teach you how to throw hands.
The thing is, I was a little worried because when that one person gets up and walks around,
she snuck behind her.
Exactly. That was the setup, and I'm like,
I thought the bottle was coming.
Aunt Farm, no. Protect your neck. But she handled it.
Yeah, she handled herself. She fought off two people by herself, and her homegirl was like, "Whoa, what happened? Like, where were you at?"
Exactly. You were supposed to be watching number 2.
A little bit later after that, we see Jefferson. He's at the drugstore. Apparently, a lot of stuff goes down at the drugstore in this show. We spend a lot of time there. But you know, we get a little scene with a guy and his daughter trying to get some medicine. The moral of the story is pay it forward. So I like that. That was a good message that they brought out. You know, I'm gonna help you out about his medicine. I don't expect anything. I don't expect you to give me anything in return. Only thing I expect you to do is help someone else. I like that message. But we do see a major plot point here that we saw from the first episode. Black Lightning is having some side effects.
I think it's just feedback from not using his powers. Some build-up residual stuff since he hasn't used it. I mean, come on, you can't just break out into a dead sprint if you ain't ready to find.
Well, they explain later on that it's the suit that's messing him up. See, here's the thing.
I think that's
I think there's something nebulous about that because, like,
Gabby lies.
Yeah, he probably is lying.
Yeah.
And because they make it real nebulous on is it the suit or is it him? Like, I agree with you. It got to be residuals because in the 9 years that you weren't Black Lightning, that wasn't affecting you. You weren't having those problems.
Yeah. And I'm going to say it's a little bit deeper than that as well. This is what I was alluding to earlier in our previous reviews, is that we see Gabby is trying to protect him from knowing too much about Tobias because he gets worked up. And we see every time that he's going into a shock like that and shut down is when he's getting angry, he's getting to a boiling point. So we know that Tobias sets him off. Moving forward, Anissa is trying to understand her powers a little bit more. She's trying to see what's going on. You know, not ask the people in her life, like her, you know, doctor, mother, or her father. But, you know, we won't harp on that too much. It's you know, Patty. Gotta drag the show out a little bit more. But we do learn a little bit more about her grandfather, who's actually been researching this stuff. And we get into some conspiracy theories that, you know, they mentioned Tuskegee Airmen and how they were experimenting with black people with syphilis. So I like that they mentioned that. And so there's been other conspiracies of further experimentation with black people in different communities and how they went missing. You want to say something about that?
Yeah. Have any of you all read the Marvel comic book Truth? You know I have. I have the whole series. It's basically the origin of how the super serum that made Captain America came to be, and basically they were testing it on the Tuskegee Airmen, the black soldiers and whatnot.
Moving on. Jefferson, he's not feeling well, but he still needs to get in on the action. All right, he's stalking Inspector Dry Tone Henderson.
Terrence Howard. Black Lightning, where are you?
But you know, we see a certain type of relationship building that just came out of nowhere. I gotta say, this was shocking for me.
Well,
he's actually gonna help Black Lightning pursue some people that's been a little untouchable.
And this is one of the things I was talking about where I was meant hypocrisy, and where you just sat down in front of a community of people and talked about how Black Lightning was the problem and why he was the reason why crime was so high. Yet in 1 second, you switch like that. And
actually, I think we're forgetting. Black Lightning said like we used to do. So they actually used to be They used to work together.
So basically, we need to know what the history behind him turning on him like that.
But because unless he's just doing that just to save face,
a show for the public,
then that makes more sense. But then it's just too quick of a Commissioner Gordon-esque.
Yeah, that was a little fast for me. I know they said they used to do it in the past, but we got to see a little bit more about how their relationship either developed and took a turn, or if he's just putting on a show for us, for the public.
Which, if that is the case, if he is just putting on a show, that would be honestly a great twist on that Batman Gordon dynamic.
Tobias and his sister pays old dad a visit, and this is actually something we forgot to mention in the beginning. So what Tobias' sister realized was that, you know, you have some unresolved issues that stems back from a certain person in our life. And what I really liked about this scene was the way that it was shot. You had her in this was all coming from Tobias' perspective, but he was a child, but we saw him as an adult. But what we saw from his point of view was, you know, his sister as a child and his father a little bit younger, and how he was abusive towards them, and you know what their relationship was like. But it was all like coming from the perspective of an adult man who was still trying to deal with this.
Like he was reliving it. And one thing, not to, you know, damper the mood of this shot, when his dad slapped his sister, he reached back in time and touched the ancestor and then just let it fly.
Before that, he said, and I quote, "Fit your pale ass." And I was like, wow, you said that with conviction. Like, you practiced that line in the mirror.
When he wake up to go to school, pale ass down. Pale ass down.
All right.
I want to thank him for this.
Well, we gotta make sure everything is addressed here.
Okay.
Turns out Tobias' father is Kyle from Living Single,
AKA the voice of Kratos.
Woo, okay. I think we're all caught up now.
I was getting some Color Purple Mr. vibes from Kyle Barker, and it was genius. I really did like it. That was a really great performance from him. Like I said, if you making me think about the fucking Color Purple and Black Lightning, then you are going the distance acting wise.
Yeah.
I gotta give him props for that. I also have to give props for the fact that we did get backstory on Tobias well. Like, we got a more fleshed out character in him, which is what we desperately needed after last week's episode.
One thing I want to bring up too is one of the themes that was brought up is abuse, and how even the lingering effects it has, especially on children and their growth and development and what they may eventually turn into. And now we're forced begging the question: had he been raised in a more loving environment, would he be this thug, this villain that he turns out to be now? Or is there a direct correlation between the way he was treated and the way he had to fight for it, not only his father's approval, which he would never get, but at the same time, that same
survival in that house.
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure if he caught it in the house, he caught it outside just as well.
So we're seeing over and over again how people look at Tobias. All right, is the elephant in the room. He is an albino. His father doesn't appreciate him for this, and he's like, you know, we get weird looks. I don't like you because the way you look. And you see Lady Eve kind of through the throwback by how Egyptians treated albinos. You know, she even said today, if you mess up today, we're going to treat you just like they treated them in the past. So, you know, he's catching it from all sides right now.
And that one safe haven he had was his sister, who, no matter what incident was, you saw she was there to defend him, and she didn't care about the consequences. And I love this part because, like you said, layers.
So we do see that, you know, as Tobias and his sister pays dear old dad a visit, he did a throwback from Don't Be a Menace. He actually greeted his father with a punch to the face. And Kyle Barker says,
"So, you hit like a bitch."
You still hit like a bitch.
which gave me some real Stink Meaner vibes from him. And then, but it shows like even in his age, he still hasn't changed. Like he's been this hard individual throughout his life.
He still doesn't respect him.
And then again, this reflexive of the fact that his wife left him.
We don't know. But by the end of the day, Tobias gave him the big bear hug, and he's like, "I'm not going to kill you right now. I'm just going to leave you with your back broken, and we'll see what happens after that."
But no, he left him to die on his own.
He told him,
yeah,
like,
he
your
said,
back is broken,
your back is broken, you're going to die. But the manner in which he did it was just, I mean, it was no mercy involved whatsoever. It was like, I'm going to make this pain last for as long as I can.
So we only have a couple more things to address in this episode. So just real quick, Anissa, just kind of bring her back into the fold. She's been doing some research. She even found an old reporter who used to know her father. Turns out old reporter is Huggy Bear. But you know, he calmed down. He calmed down a little bit, so he got a good job. But he warned her, you know, if you look into this research stuff, what stuff that your grandfather's been doing, it's a chance that you might get killed. So what does my girl do? She brings out the cat suit. She's like, I'm gonna beat some ass tonight. She tries out the cat suit to see how it works for her fighting. It rips. It's not working out. So she needs a new disguise. So apparently she goes to, you know, Forever 21 to try to find a costume. And she's putting some stuff together. We get a little montage of, you know, finally settling on what her costume for now is going to be as she goes out and try to figure out what's going on in the city. There's an incident with a wig. He's like, you know, let's go with the blonde wig or the red wig. What do you think? You say you want to say something about this?
So, time for the Daily Comic Knowledge 101. So, in the comics, when Anissa first becomes Thunder, first of all, her and her father have an agreement. You can be a superhero after you graduate college. But she's like, nah, I'm gonna do that shit a little bit early. So, her original costume was an outfit similar to the one she wore with a blonde wig. So, I was loving that throwback, because I was wondering, were they going to do that? And I had my doubts when we first saw the costume in promotions, and she just had the cornrows, and I was like, well, they're probably not going to do that. Then this came up, and I was like, oh shit, they did it. They are covering their bases on this show, comic book wise, and I'm really loving it.
Jefferson knows that Joey Toledo is in town. He knows that Joey Toledo works for Tobias. If Joey's here, Tobias might be here. You know, something's not adding up. He's not liking the stink coming from Gabby. You know, so he felt like he needs to go out here and investigate himself. And he's like, you know, side effects be damned. I'm going to go out here and see what's going on with Joey. Holler at him for a second. Like Lightning's like, remember me? Surprise.
Bring that ass here, boy. First of all, let me give a shout out to James Brown for the big payback.
Yeah, big payback.
Terrific song to help build up this moment.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that I've noticed through the scene. First of all, he was hitting him with grown man punches.
He was hitting Joey like he was a meta. Like he had superpowers.
You never know.
But this goes back to my whole thing about hypocrisy. Now, when he was sitting there lecturing Ant Farmer about her fighting, you know, people, and that you're supposed to fight to put out fires, but here he goes all amped up and out his way. You know, like he's even warned by Gabby. He was like, "Yo, you need to chill out." He's like, "No, I need to do this." He's
putting work in, and then his side effects kick in, and he started getting worked, and worked, and worked.
Joey turned his ass to a 9 to 5 with overtime. He worked the shit out of Black Lightning. But there's one thing before we close this out that I'm mad that we skipped over. The old white man, Clint Eastwood, who had the nerve. Clint Eastwood had the nerve to pull a shotgun on Black Lightning and say, "I will shoot your black ass." Now, I was taken back.
He called him a lawn jockey, kid.
He called him a lawn jockey. I was like, anybody in the room catch that?
Yeah, I caught all of that.
And I was like, kill him. Kill him now.
Alright, good callback.
Like, he screamed Trump supporter.
Overall, I gotta say, even though we got a lot in this episode, I felt like it wasn't hitting as much as the previous episodes. But just me personally.
You can't deny that we got a lot of information.
We got a lot of information. That's what I do appreciate about this show. We get a lot of information about these characters in such a short amount of time, even if the action is lacking sometimes. But you know, it's about the story, it's about the writing. So I can definitely appreciate that. You know, thank you for watching our review today. Go back and watch some of our previous reviews of Black Lightning. We do review this weekly, just as we review other DC related shows, The Flash, The Arrow. Right now they're on hiatus, but you can go back and check those out as well. We do a series, The Power of Color. Every day in February we are releasing information about black superheroes. So be sure to check those out. You'll learn a lot of information that you did not know about these characters. All right. So hit the like, subscribe, hit the bell. You'll know every time that we still put out a new video. And peace.